Third time's the charm. So this is like the time I try to go live. So if you're just joining and you don't know who I am, my name is Erika. You do not have to roll your R's. You can focus on the ka. Today I have a special guest. His name is Matthias. And we're going to be talking about not taking it personal when it comes to unsolicited messages in the DM. I'm not talking about it could relate to anything. It could be sales. It can be, what I'm talking about is unsolicited dick pics. And yesterday I had, if you actually go on my Insta story, I'm not sure if it's still there, but I had so many men, like abnormally a lot more unsolicited messages in the DM. I had someone ask to trade and just a little bit more than usual. So today we're going to talk about not taking it personal with Matthias. So right now I'm waiting for Matthias to join. And please share in the comment box below if where you're tuning in from. Where in the world are you? Are you watching the live? Are you watching the replay? And hello to my new friends. Hey, Mike Bell and David Steele. So we are waiting for a very, very special guest. This is the third time, so we'll see what happens. So before he joins us, I was feeling very angry, and I've also saw a few other women post about this. So there's a lot of women in the online space, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people that this is their career. This is what they do. They facilitate transformation or they provide a service. So sometimes we see a girl online and we think that it's okay to date, it's okay to message, and I feel like it's a really important time to talk about how can we handle taking it personal. And I feel like there's many different points of view around this. And for me, yeah, I've come from places where people have used their power against me, or they have been manipulative. And it doesn't show up only in unsolicited dick pics. It could also be entrepreneurs sharing copy and paste messages. But anyways, I'm like wondering, where is my friend? Because this is the third time. One second, guys. Okay. So we're waiting for Matthias. I just sent him another message. There he is. Matthias. I don't know, why can't I bring you? Let's see. Oh, actually, I figured it out. Now I'm happy. I'm super, super excited now. This is where the content starts, okay? This is where the content is about to get down. We're about to go into some amazing conversations with one of my favorite people.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. We did
How are
it.
you, love? We did.
Good.
Through all the technical difficulties, we made it
I'm
happen.
yeah.
See me okay?
Yes, I see
Good.
you. I hear you. I see your afro. I feel your heart.
Thank you.
I'm very excited because I've invited you on podcasts. I message you when I have my breakdowns. Like, you're my go-to guy.
Oh, thanks,
And
love.
I have a lot of people that I interview, but you're seriously like one of my top, like Barbara Walters, like top 10.
Thank you so much.
So I wanted to just like share this. What inspired this is I shared on my story that I was getting a lot of unsolicited dick pics, and it's happened before, and it's kind of normal, but it was probably just like more maximized. And I also have been seeing these conversations where women that are entrepreneurs, they get not only unsolicited, but they're very pushy in the inbox. It could be like,
Hmm.
hey, let's go on a date, or another woman who has a PhD, she also talked about this. And this, I guess, like there's just more sexual come-ons in the inbox. There's more. It's just, it doesn't feel like guys are really getting that it's actually triggering or causing some sensation in the body. Like for me, it just makes me really upset.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like they lose power when they have these interactions, that somehow there's a violation. And one of the things is, I don't know as far as settings, as far as your DM settings, is it only from friends, or like I don't know the technical limitations of it, right? I think one of the things that I always try and tell people is communicating with people to understand your barriers to entry, right? What are your barriers to even be able to communicate with me before you send me a message? Make sure that it's within these parameters. Everybody is going after what they desire, right? So if we first respect that, we have to understand everybody is leading with what they desire. Just because someone's desiring something different than you doesn't mean that's a horrible person. Just because their approach is sucks doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means that they're going after their desire, and it might not feel good to you the way that they're actually approaching you with your desire. But everybody's going after their own desire, and that's a good thing. But how we can do it respectfully, well, that's another thing, and different cultures, definitely it's totally different as well. And if we take it personally and we change it into a war, we're just depleting ourselves energetically. The way that I look at it is, I see a lot of, and especially you think of in the world of transformation and coaching and things like that, a lot of women have beautiful, powerful messages, and they're out there. And if you lead with yourself, you are part of the product, right? So you have to look at that. You're part of the brand. This is how people interact with it. So some people might say, as an artist, if you release some art, people are going to say that's terrible. Some people are going to say that's beautiful. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. As you release things, people are going to have a reaction. If you just do quotes and you just have messaging, no one's going to comment about what you look like. They're going to comment about your messaging. But when you are part of the brand, that's an expectation, right? The expectation, at least in the professional world, if we're going into the personal thing. As we move as professionals, we need to know that we are part of the brand. We're going to get criticized. I get criticized. Totally. It's part of the territory. But it's all from desire, People are running ads. Why? Because they desire to receive finances for providing a service or a product. It might not be in your DM, but it's in your face.
Yeah.
It's like, it's solicited. Here it is. It's in your face. It's your desire. You're going to say, I want to shut that off. Well, guess what? Not an option for that.
Right.
You're part of an ecosystem. You are part of a society, and everybody within the society is going after their desires. Some people's desires are spontaneous, meaning in the anticipation of something, and that's often men with sexual desire, is the anticipation of the possibility of sex. And then women, it's usually responsive, is from that actual connection, then something builds and creates desire, right? So it's just a very different understanding of polarity. So if you're getting DM'd with dick pics, like, okay, yeah, these guys have spontaneous desire. That's one of the things that they have. Can you convert that into anything else? Well, that's going to be up to you. I've been in situations where people will come at you from their perspective, the way that they live in the world that they are, that can be extremely offensive. And what happens is it's a challenge at that moment between what you desire and what they desire, and who's more masterful at the game of life and human interaction. I've been, I used to sell stuff out of a bag for a little while, just spontaneous sales, just door to door, going into businesses, people telling you to get out of here. I'm trying to sell them watches and just random stuff from, a warehouse that would come in every day. I went into one bar and somebody called me the N-word. It was like, yeah. And I was like, wow, okay. Ended up selling him some stuff and left, because my thing was, I'm not here to get offended. I'm here to make money. I'm here to make money. My purpose was more important than diving into the weeds in it, in all that, right? So that's a huge triggering word. That's completely offensive. And my thing was, coming in offering some things that could be of use, and here I am getting, belittled. And yeah, so just understand we're in that environment. Everybody has their own preconceived notions, their own cultures, and they're just going after what they desire.
And yeah, I feel like desire is transmutable.
Hmm.
And you taught me that transmutable, it interchanges. I recently had someone who did want to work with me, and he was like ready to send the deposit, and then it went from I'm going to work with you to hey beautiful, like can we just chat? And it was surprising because I do understand that there is like a two parts of me. There's one part that definitely wants to serve. Like definitely see their pain point. I definitely see that they have a need for this. But there's the other part that is very guarded and cold. And it's like, how do I play with both that doesn't get where my energy feels drained, right?
Hmm.
Because there
Yeah.
is that savior complex, but there's also that dominatrix, like, hey, like let's just get to the point, like let's just have boundaries, right? Like, so how can I play with both that still brings a balance, and
Right.
no one is getting hurt, no one is feeling offended, no one is taking it personal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's the big thing is people are going to be the way that they're going to be, and that's because of the way that they live, the way that they were born, genetic lineage. There's so many things that come into a person that's unique. Some desires are shared across collections of people, and some aren't. And it's totally okay. And how much energy do you want to actually put into that? You can see it's just like, oh, this person has desire. Guess what? We've started having desire. Puberty. It comes with a whole bunch of hormones and desires. But at the same time, I'm sure you've experienced men is like, okay, after they receive their desire, all of a sudden it changes and you don't feel their energy the same way. And they're not really present or really connected after receiving that in which they were seeking, right? So what is that response? That is, as far as in that, it's just about how our desires and how we work with our desires, right? Spontaneous or responsive. So the big thing though is not to let it affect you to the point where you're off mission or now you're retaliating, because this just adds to the war, right? If you want to guide someone and say, hey, you know what, the best way to contact me is this. I don't accept solicited dick pics. Have a number of cut and paste options so you can already have responses if you're getting that many. Because guess what? Every business does that. Every business
Has a copy and
has,
paste.
yeah, they already have like, hey, these are common things that people are asking. These are common complaints. These are common ways that people approach. And here's our set response to it. Thank you for your interest. I'm only interested in connecting with people in a non-sexual way. You can communicate with me on a number of other subjects. I'm not interested in this. Please don't do that again or you'll be reported, yada, yada, yada. Boom, done. Cool. Next. Next, why more energy? Why give that more energy? If you're going to give more energy and you want to say, all right, cool, you know what, I want to change this into a chance to actually educate you. Most women aren't looking for unsolicited dick pics. We're looking for some type of conversation and connection. So if you want to take that route, great. If you're interested in connecting with women better, I have a course for that. You can go right. This is a perfect sales
Yeah.
opportunity. They're showing
Yeah.
you how bad they need it.
Yeah.
So so take that as that opportunity that, hey, your come on was such a turnoff. Do you want to improve your ability to actually connect with women? Well, then you're going to need to improve your ability to communicate. This isn't doing it.
Right. And yeah, because yesterday I had one of the guys like, I am interested in working with you. Um, I'm 27. I can't have sex. Women don't want to have sex with me. I'm like, awesome. Like I have a program for that. And he says, oh, can we have uh, face sex? Like, what is it? Like cyber sex,
Mm.
cyber sex, which is
Face
like,
sex, very different than cyber sex.
yeah, I just like created a new thing, face sex.
I think that's been around for a while, my dear.
Yeah. So yeah, I got upset because I said, this is exactly why. Like I felt like that was offensive to say. It's like this is probably why you're not having sex is because you don't know how to respect women's boundaries, and there was just a lot of impatience. And so, of course, this was mostly like Indian culture. And instead of
Mm,
being triggered, I was thinking, you know what? What if I actually learned more about the Indian culture? What if I actually explored what's actually behind that? What is the common narrative?
it's
I
a
mean,
huge market.
I have no idea, but I do know that I do have very conscious Indian brothers that are super
Yeah, totally.
amazing. But
I mean,
I'm not,
yoga is the whole,
yeah.
India, home of yoga. Like, yeah, consciousness, it's strong over there. And so is desire.
And I
So,
and I feel like it
yeah,
plays a role. Desire plays a role like in every culture, like whether Indian culture, African American, Mexican culture. There's a different way of speaking into that desire, right?
totally.
Um, and so I think I'm curious, like when you're not receiving your desire, like, and it's something that you really desire, how do you accept that? How do you not take it personal?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things is most of the time we just get creates frustration, right? So when we want something, we don't have it, it creates tension. That's what it is. It's like I'm reaching for this thing, it's pushing away, and it creates tension. I mean, you do this with any mammal, right? Tease a dog with like the dog wants some food or a bone or anything else, and it's actually desiring that, right? And you try and give it to him, then you pull it away, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again, and do it 1,000 times. Now, what's your relationship with that dog now, right?
Mm.
It's probably not that good. It's just a mammal. Take any other mammal, right? There's a great little hamster meme where person keeps giving the hamster water, taking it away, taking it away, and then tries to give it to it, and it just won't take it, and it's just getting hit in the face with a little water bottle, and it's just like I don't even care anymore. It's like it tears down that whole connection and trust. So you think about that, right? And now let's apply that to the man-woman space. How often is men's desire stoked in society by women? Um, Period. Right? So if you go on Instagram, you go on any of the social media, are women displaying themselves, a lot of women displaying themselves in a way that would arouse sexual desire within a man? They're showing their body, being seductive, millions of likes and tons of attention. It creates that desire. It does. That's our biological response to the feminine. And trust me, most women like to be desired by the man that they want to be desired by, right? So you have all this desire. So a man sees this 100 times a day. Every time he picks up his phone, he's just scrolling through. Here's something else in there. Now he's trying to connect with it. Rejection.
Mm.
Connect with it again. Rejection. Connect with it again. Rejection. So psychologically, I'm constantly being stoked. I'm constantly being shown, hey, there's something sexy. It's available. It's available. Great. I would like to interact with that. Don't interact with it. No, 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 no.
It's
So,
confusing.
yeah. So that's you take a look at
Mm.
that as the system from, like I said, it's like that constant tease. That's good. In a healthy tease is fine, and it builds up some type of tension. But in this world of cyber, it's really hard. It's really hard because psychologically it breaks us down.
Mm.
It breaks us down. You think of like how many ads for getting rich. Hey, do this thing to get rich, and do this thing get rich. 15 years ago, that would hit so much harder than before. But now people get so much messaging, right? And if it doesn't really work out for them, what does that do to you psychologically? Yeah,
Yeah, it creates the desire, filling the
yeah.
gap.
So it keeps creating these desires. So then you become more aggressive. So all of a
Mm.
sudden you put out the bone to tease the dog again, and all of a sudden it snips at you, and you're like, whoa, that's bad behavior. That's horrible. Shame on you. Why would you ever do that? It's like, well, this is a state that we're actually going through, and this is kind of new because of what we're experiencing through the web. We have access to all this stuff all the time, you know and it's not like, okay, just women all cover up, and we have to pull ourselves back, but it's just to understand that these are the psychological environments that people are operating in, right? No one's taking the time. Everybody just has their desire and they want filled. Hey, guess what? Buy my program. Do this. Like my post. Do that. Like everybody's just telling you to do something for me. No one's actually really trying to make connection. You know, you and I, we're having a great conversation. We can reach out if we needed to talk to each other. You know, there's more connection, but more loneliness. So it's not to take it personal. It's really to look at the whole picture, right? To look at, yeah, go ahead.
Because you said there's more connection, but less, there's
More loneliness.
more
Yeah.
loneliness, even though
Yeah.
we have connection, right? Like
Yeah.
we have all this technology with connection, and there's even apps where if the partner is far away, they can use some kind of app so the girl can still connect with them, like
Totally.
pleasure wise, right? She can
Yeah.
have vibrating panties and her partner can control it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the intimacy that we want. We want to connect with all the senses. Like for me, like true embodied connection is tuning in with all the five senses.
Totally. And right now we get a lot of visual temptation, right? We get a lot of visual temptation, but there's not a lot that actually guides men and what desire is actually welcomed by a woman, right? So what women are actually saying, hey, this is the type of attention that I want besides money. Hit me on Patreon, hit me on this. Shower me with what? You know, as a man, we've been taught to value going out and acquiring resources. This was a thing. And as a woman, it was you by yourself create an identity that will draw a man to you through the way that you are, right? That's not really sold to us as men. It's not sold to us that the way that we are is what's going to attract women. It's the what that we have that we can offer them, right? So then if we don't have a lot of money, all of a sudden we're offering dick pics. It's like, okay, great. That's not how it works, but we don't really understand. For the most part, men aren't really understanding how women are building that arousal, right? So age of pornography. So everything is pretty explicit. And people are used to, Postmates. I can order food. I can order all these other things. Isn't sex isn't that the same way sex works? So it's not a tantric approach. It's not a really connected approach, but it's what is being taught on how we interact with each other. It's very commoditized. The intimacy is down. So that's why it's just very abrupt. You take a look at people's messaging. Their messaging is abrupt. You want this, get this. You want this, buy this.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
The tit for tat.
Yeah, totally. So it's challenging, but this is where I say, hey, don't take it personal because we're going through this transition time. We're trying to figure out with this world, this cyber world, where everything's at our fingertips, how do we still have quality human interaction? And a lot of that needs to be guided and trained, right? This is, with my upcoming book, The 5 Most Important Things You Don't Learn in School, we're not taught quality human relating. We don't have that. Quality human communication, being present, being available for each other, that's not taught.
Like, if we can teach that, what would be the first 3 principles you would teach?
Well, the first thing that I would teach is people to be observant, right? Is listen, is to be able to observe and observe all levels, and being able to observe both externally and internally, right? Observation is huge. And to be able to observe your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, and your emotions, right? If you can perceive those within yourself, now it'll make it a lot easier to perceive within someone else. Take a look at their thought patterns. Take a look at their emotions. Take a look at their actions. Take a look at their reactions. Great. This is someone who's reacting from a place of pain. I know because I used to react like that when I was pained or when I was triggered. Okay, this is a person from pain. I can be more compassionate now. So that would be the first thing. I'd definitely be teaching meditation because that's going to allow you that observation. That's going to give you that. And then, the thoughts, actions, reactions, and emotions. Another thing is just actually working with emotions, is taking some time to actually feel different emotions. Because a lot of times we think emotions are something that happen to us. But what I learned in Mastering Alchemy with Jim Self is emotions are something that we can actually guide. We can go into being really sad right now, We could do that. We can think about horrible things and go really sad. Or we could, think about some hilarious stuff and we could just burst into laughter. And we're actually in much more control than we give ourselves credit for. But what happens is in society, we have been dictated so many ways that we should be around so many things, right? So what is happening, and this, unfortunately, as a marketer, this is really good for marketing. It could be conceived as really evil, but it's really good for marketing, right? So it's called the Hegelian dialectic, which is problem, reaction, solution. Is you give someone a problem, you tell them how they should react, and then you sell them the solution, right? You see
That's
the infomercials are notorious for this. If you take a look at, a tray, someone's like, "Are you sick of trying to carry your food over the couch?" Oh no! Like problem, the reaction, "Oh, this is terrible." Solution: buy this new tray, and it makes everything easy. That's literally how society programs us, right? So you're in a relationship, your partner does something you don't like, you've seen on soap operas, you've seen on movies, you've seen on all these other things how a woman should react when a man does these different things, and you immediately go into that pre-programmed reaction and go into this argument or anything instead of saying, "Hey, honey, you know what? There's this thing you didn't. I really don't like that. Can we talk about that?" Most people don't do that. So these triggers have been programmed into us as consumers for profitability, which is really good. Like it's really good as a marketer. The marketing
hmm
man in me is like,
yeah.
"Oh, this is really good. This is good for sales. Like I can do this. I can sell that, and it just triggers the mind. Okay, cool." But it doesn't really make for good human relating. You know what I mean? It's good for commerce. It doesn't make for good quality of life. It puts people in a reactionary state. It keeps people out of the creative mindset from being able to be powerful enough within their mind to create their reality and to use their energy to create different situations. So we just keep repeating these different things, right? But we can change that, and it needs to change. And people like you and the other people who are doing the work to help educate people on this. But we have to lead the way. If it's another
hmm
a dick pic gets another horrible reaction, and there is no guidance in that, well, what exchange actually took place? It just keeps rewiring that, okay, she doesn't like it, but maybe someone else will. It doesn't tell them that another approach is actually possibly better.
Possible. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't say, "Hey, what you're wanting is connection with a woman and to fulfill your sexual desire, and the path that you're going is really far from that." So most women are not just responding to that. You don't see women requesting this. This is not something women are requesting online. So you might want to take a different approach. Here are some common things that women like to talk about.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, it just gets them out of the mindset. And it's like to redirect that energy, it's like, oh, yeah, he still has his desire, but maybe he takes one step further, you know? And then he can listen and he gets, two messages in and then another dick pic. And it's like, nope, still wrong. So that's like,
It's
there is some
practice.
guide. Yeah, there is some guidance on this. We've been wired the way we've been wired through so many interactions. Unfortunately, a lot of it, especially in the online world, stokes desire, but doesn't show us how to actually connect with that. So, and I always apologize to my women on behalf of my men who haven't done this, but at the same time, I always use, the biblical analogy from Yeshua or Jesus, and just forgive them; they know not what they do. Right? These men don't really know what's happening in your system. They're not energetically that sensitive, right? They don't know that that can make you feel violated and it could shift your entire day. They're thinking, and their intention is, "Oh yeah, she's gonna see this, she's gonna love it. Oh yeah, I just made her day. I'm just waiting for her to hit me back." Oh, what? She's crazy. What are you talking about? This is a great eggplant emoji. And
Oh my
it's
God.
like, it's like, uh, yeah, and they just really just don't know. So, yeah, just to be on topic, it's like taking these things personal is still a myopic view. We're still looking at it from this person did this to me instead of this person is part of a greater society that's affected by all these different things that are from their culture, from what their interactions are, the way that they were raised, and as well as their ability to fulfill their desires. They're coming from a place that, man, my desires aren't really getting filled. It's a frustration. It's not coming through.
Yeah, I'm really, really liking this conversation, because I also feel like there is that extreme of like guys really wanting to receive their desires, and then there's the other guys that are actually looking to do this transformational work, but they still don't feel enough, right? They still feel
Hmm.
like, if I can't have the right sex, then who am I? Am I worthy of love? Am I a man? So this past week, I've had a lot of male clients. Some of them just like saying, my dick is not. I can't get my dick up, right? That's like one of the things. The other one is, um, I can't have the right sex with my partner. She feels like, as much as I do put in effort, there's nothing that I can do to please her. And so they're ending up stressing themselves. And because of
Yeah.
that stress, is obviously affecting their ability to relate to women, especially like masculine women, very like almost like the woman is the dominant in the relationship.
Yeah. And well, I think that's one of the things that's happening with society, right? So currently, women are taking an untraditional role in this country, right? So I can't speak for the whole world, but I can say in this country, the traditional role of woman becoming as inviting as possible to attract a male so that that can provide resources to create a family in the dichotomous binary relationship. That's what's there. Now we open up to a world where, from sexual liberation, women's empowerment, women in the workplace, women don't need a man for that, right? Men still need a woman for sex and connection. Women don't need a man for resources. This is not a requirement. This is an optional thing so we can have that interaction. And, we're now in a society where it's like, okay, sex before marriage doesn't lead you to being flogged or branded or immediate death. It's choice. Now people are given more choice. And it's more about what you want to do with it, right? So, but when a woman's in her masculine, and in that, it's hard for a man because you're not getting that polarity, right? So the woman like calling out to a man to be able to say, hey, these are some of the things I'm inviting you to come fulfill these different desires of mine. Men don't know what that is, right? So that's not being communicated. Back in the day, it was like, oh, a woman's trying to do anything. Hurry, rush over there to show that we're going to be of service, that we'll help her out. And then we can start a dialogue because she can see us. Oh, we're holding the door. We're gentlemen. We're doing all this other stuff. And now we're just like, well, what the hell do we do? Oh, we need to be a baller. We need to have, thousands of likes. We need to have a car. We need to have image because that's what a woman wants. And it's like, it's not telling us, and women are not telling us, we're not hearing that we want real connection. We want intimacy. We want presence. That's
Is
not
that
being communicated.
is that what they mean when they say I can't trust you, or when they feel like I need to build trust? So in this case example, this case study, this woman needs 4 or 5 years to build trust, and because of that, he has to fit into all of these boxes
Yeah.
to please her. And so I feel like the best thing to do is like just
That sounds
find
like
sovereignty.
trauma. That just sounds like trauma. That sounds like it's coming from trauma, right?
Yeah.
And if you set up these hurdles
trauma
for people,
trauma on the woman's side or on his
yeah,
side?
if you already is setting up the parameter of 4 years, that sounds like there's something bad that happened within those 4 years for somebody. You know what I mean? I when you can read people and you can work with people and you're not afraid of life, right? You're not afraid of life. You can go fully into it. You should be able to build trust much sooner because you're asking the questions that matter, right? You're asking the questions that matter. You're seeing how somebody is actually interacting. You're seeing how people react. You're seeing how people deal with their different emotional states. You're seeing how people deal with their actions and what they actually do and how they interact, how they actually communicate. And if you're just putting it on a time period, guess what will happen? It's a time bomb. That's all it is. It's a time bomb. Somebody's going to hold to a certain standard for a certain period of time, and then all of a sudden they're going to cut loose. That's like kids when they're 18 and they go to college and they're all wild. Why? Because you were waiting and they're all bottled up instead of having disciplines and learning themselves along the way. They're so restricted that as soon as that opens up, it's not a good recipe, right? So that's something that seems like it's coming more from trauma than
Mm.
anything else. When you say that, because guess what? Go those 4 years and hold back. And then that person that absolutely loved you that you wouldn't open up to dies in a car accident in year 2.5.
Mm.
Congratulations, you lived a full life. You could have been having a much more full experience with that person, but you're sitting here thinking that life is forever. We're not looking at how blessed we are, how much of a joy it is to have this day. I mean, there are people right now in cancer wards. There are people right now on deathbed. There's people just right now finding out they have a terminal diagnosis. And there's people that are going to die in car accidents today when they think they have more days. And then there's
Mm.
people out there saying, I'm going to hold back my love and I'm going to hold back actually being as full as I can in this life, thinking that they have another one and it's promised in some weird way. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because when they leave, and if you're on your dying breath and you're like, oh my goodness, what if I could have loved a little bit more? What if I just didn't wait the 4 years and I was like, this is an amazing person. What if I actually just try and have a beautiful experience right now? What's wrong with that?
Fear,
So yeah, it's fair.
fear,
So a lot of this stuff's come,
disappointment. Yeah.
yeah. And
Well,
guess what?
another case
Yeah.
example, like I've been having a lot of different conversations. So I like what you said. Um, I feel like a lot of people self-sabotage their joy, self-sabotage their blessings. You have something good, you're finally like, hey, I'm sharing how I feel. I love this person, but now I'm afraid because maybe these people are going to take it away from me, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid I'm going to hurt someone else's feelings. So here's another case example. I have a friend because I have a lot of friends, who loves this person, and he really wants to be open with them, and he's really concerned that his ex is going to get hurt. So now he's starting to go down a downward spiral, thinking, well, I have this great thing, but oh my God, what if I lose it? And, start creating that story, creating the worry and the concern, instead of like, let me not care. Like, what would happen if I don't care about how other people react? Because yes, like I can understand as an empath, when someone feels bad, I tend to feel bad, but that's also costing me discernment.
Hmm.
It's also costing me ability to self-care and to be a little bit selfish. And I think it is healthy to be a little bit selfish when
I
you
think there's, I'm, just to, I guess, a different approach. You say don't care, and I would say care a little bit more,
care a little bit more. Care
right?
a little bit. Okay, so care a
So,
little bit
so care a
more. Okay.
little bit more. What are you worried about? I'm worried about this thing hurting this other person that I care about.
Yeah.
I care about that. Um, why would it hurt that person? Right? It will hurt that person usually because of jealousy, usually because of them starting to have internal dialogue about telling them that they're not good enough, that there's something wrong with them, right? And is any of that really true? Probably not. But you're trying to save someone from an internal dialogue, is really all you're doing. So the thing is to actually have that dialogue with the person. Like, look, I really love you and I care about you. I know who you like. I know who you are. We spent time together. We're not in that space anymore, whatever the case may be.
Mm.
The things I do are not against you. I'm trying to live my life fully and beautifully, and I want you to do the same. I would like to meet new people and I'd like to make new connections, and I want you to do the same. And I don't want you to feel less than because of it. It just didn't work out in the way that we planned it together. It doesn't mean life is beautiful, and it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person. We had a great time for the times that we did. And that's it. And I just wanted you to know that so I can move on with my life and have these relationships and still maintain our relationship. And you know that you're still valuable. Right? That's
Yeah,
because I care.
that is
It's not
because.
because it's, yeah, and you have to be strong enough to do that.
Well,
These are hard conversations.
yeah, I mean,
They're
I'm
heart
glad
based though.
I'm glad I brought it up because I do hear like I see that post like zero fucks given or
Oh, that's the worst.
right or
Zero
because
fucks sucks.
that's what I was taught is like you
Yeah.
know sometimes to love yourself is to not care so much.
No.
And so,
Incorrect.
okay, well, reframe
Oh, yeah,
reframe
reframe
this
it. I would,
reframe this
yeah.
because that's what I taught. Like that's what I was taught. It's like the more that
Hmm.
you try to be cold, then you're also you're being safer and you're more careful because that's what happened to me is like the more I let people in and I got hurt and I lost people because I cared. Yeah, I was sad and so I was told to put on my armor
Yeah.
and keep people out, right? Especially on my mom's side is like keep people out, keep like two doors closed.
Hmm.
You can't trust anyone. And so yeah, zero fucks given has been
Yeah.
like my way of pushing
Yeah.
people
We don't
out.
want to live. We don't live in a zero fucks world. Like, think about it. It totally commoditizes everything. It totally does.
Commoditizes.
Yeah, it commoditizes everything, right? So it's not. We don't want to be in that. We want to be in a connected world. For the most part, us human beings, we're tribal people, right? This is we're all descended from tribal people. Our biology hasn't changed. We like closeness, right? That's what we like. We like that intimacy. We're built for it. You go into the zero fucks game, and now this becomes a very offensive world. Like, you're worried about DMs now. Like, if people really adopt that, it's going to be much more. It's going to be much more abusive. It's going to be much more abusive because you know you need to care, because if I don't care how you feel and I don't help address you, and I have the technology, the knowledge and know-how to be able to connect emotionally, because I'm caring enough to say, hey, I don't want you to be hurt by this, because this isn't to hurt you. I'm coming through with my heart, right? So zero fucks, you know what zero fucks does? It does this. It closes up the heart and it puts your middle fingers to the world, and you just go kind of go through everything, right? I come from a much more tantric, space. For me, it's I open the heart to feel compassionate.
Yeah.
Now, the other person might be like, "You're out of your mind. You're stupid. I don't like you." And everything. Like, hey, that's totally fine. I just love you, and I'm just letting you know that this is my approach. I don't want you to feel these different ways. My intention is to make sure you can have your peace of mind, and that's it. If you want to take it and you want to fight me on it and you still want to go into that, that's fine. Everybody is going to be in their different space, and people are often coming from pain, and that's what zero fucks given is. It's coming from pain, and a lot of times it's also coming from weakness because
Mm.
they don't know how to be able to actually address something. Oh, I don't give a fuck. Yo, guess what? You kind of do, but you're just saying that because you don't feel like doing the work. You don't feel like doing the work, right? So it's like, all right, I'm going to come into a situation. I'm going to create all this emotional connection, all these other things. And then as soon as it doesn't work out the way that I want, I'm going to say zero fucks given and I'm leave.
Hmm. No,
You know what I
and
mean?
no, I really like to that we're talking about this. Like this is like
Yeah.
I'm feeling it is kind of uncomfortable for me, but I feel like
Mm.
I hear this all the time, and
Yeah.
so I've
It's
been
callous. It's very callous.
because I also learned like the best thing to do is just walk away and
Hmm.
not
I mean,
acknowledge.
it depends. It depends. Like, you can walk away when it's right. Like, if you care about someone, right? For me,
Well,
Teal Swan said something really interesting, and that
okay.
is, you can't heal relationship trauma outside of a relationship. I feel that you can, um, but it takes, an extreme type of, person to be able to do that. And so, for the most part, as a lot of times when we break up or disconnect from a relationship, you'll usually it's like a scorched earth policy. Everybody's like zero fucks given. There's a lot of negativity thrown back and forth, and people are left more emotionally damaged, deceived, all whatever disillusionment that goes along with it. We throw a lot, and then you have people that are consciously uncoupling, where they love each other and they say, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to try and be sensitive to this, so you can still keep the integrity of the person that you care about intact, and you're not leaving scars unnecessarily, right? So it's just really, what's your approach to the world?
Mm. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think what's coming up is like earlier was watching a video about like narcissism abuse with
Hmm.
Jada Pinkett Smith. It was like this
Hmm.
table talk, and in some situations where a woman is getting harmed or she's facing a very toxic relationship, yeah, she needs to walk away and just, put up the middle finger. Like, I have to leave. I have to take care of myself. I feel like in that situation, I could see how it would apply. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
could.
if you're in immediate danger, if you're in immediate danger, then I would say, yeah, you might have to aggressively depart a situation. But your approach to life, I would say you might want to reconsider your approach to life. It's not like this becomes my standard. No, this is an extreme. Like I'm
Is
very mild.
is that
Go
what you
ahead.
think? No, I'm just like curious. Is that why you think that people use those affirmations like zero fucks given, I don't care about the world? That's a worldview
Yeah,
that we
that
need to
that
let go of. Okay.
yeah, I think yeah, I would say give one single fuck. Dear people, give just one fuck. One fuck can change the life of somebody in need. Just give one fuck. Not all the fucks, not some of the fucks. Just give one fuck, please. Give one fuck. So, because I mean, and even in the narcissist situation, right? If you can actually own your power, right? So, and I don't like using narcissist and codependent because I'm not a licensed therapist to be able to put out diagnosis on people, but I can understand narcissistic behavior and things like that. And I've been accused of these things as well. And I also find that when people don't get what they want, they're quick to throw terms at somebody else and not take responsibility for how they're participating in
So
that relationship.
labeling
Yeah,
your partner and
stop it.
analyze. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like if you're a psychologist and you sat down with somebody and you've gone through all the necessary things to be able to properly diagnose someone, then I would say great. If not, I would say, okay, maybe you need to recommend that person go see someone because you feel that they have some type of psychological issue and it's causing harm to the people around them. Simple. Right? But that's coming from a place where you're not emotionally charged. And a lot of these
Mhm.
places you are emotionally charged. The
Well,
thing
this
is,
this is my mistake. Like when
mm,
I get angry about something or I see a certain character trait like manipulative or narcissist, like for me to keep myself safe, I'm like, I want to know about how do I spot a narcissist? How do I spot a manipulator?
right.
For me
And
to
then
just
is
be
your mind now
self-aware.
looking for it?
But then,
Now in
yeah,
your
exactly.
so the funny thing about perception, right? Perception is based on your pre-intention, right? What you are already looking for, you will find more of.
Yeah, and my nerdy side remembers this term. It activates the reticular activation
There
system.
you go. See? There it is. Right?
Well, I
So
know that like yeah, it's like if you that's like the law of attraction, right? Like the law of attraction is not this fancy like you know manifesting this thing, but it's like if I think about Jesus, which I have been thinking about Jesus, I've been seeing it everywhere. So of course,
mhm.
it's all I'm going to think about. But if today all I think about is that, that's all I'm going to think about. It's going
Yeah.
to be
And
in the
that
subconscious.
yeah, the whole thing is the to forgive and forget. It's like, yeah, you can forgive, learn, but I also look at how things are playing out in your own mind. This is the observation part, right? I am very keen to how things wire in my mind, what connections are coming into my mind. If I have a negative experience with someone, I will actually take that a moment back. I'll meditate on it and be like, okay, this was this one person. I'm not going to attach it to their race. I'm not going to attach it to their gender. I'm not going to attach it into their age group. I'm not going to. And if I see enough patterns, I can say, okay, this is something that's affecting this group of people. I'm seeing this. This is a common thing, or this is a cultural thing that I just discovered. That this is the way that people do things, or something like that. And it just heightens my awareness. But my job is to be the love that I am, right? It's my job is not to create these walls and all these other things because somebody has hurt me, right? And my ability to love is not dependent based on all of my other past experiences. And for me to give all that power to all those other past experiences versus the love that I could be giving in that moment, to me is that's a sin. You want to talk about sin? That's a sin. You who have the power to actually do these things are consciously not bringing more love to the world, and you're empowering these negative circumstances to change the way that you actually interact with people. Instead of providing more love, more unity, you're creating zero fucks, right? So in that situation, I would say there are other choices to be able to protect yourself. And you can love yourself and say, hey, look, very sternly, this is not working out for me. I don't like the way that I'm being treated. I feel that psychologically, the way that you are, I'm seeing some narcissistic behavior. You might not know what that is or whatever the case may be, but I can't interact with you anymore. I would love for you to go figure that out, see a specialist, maybe look into it yourself and see what it is. But I have to leave. Goodbye. You know, it's like,
That's something that really takes practice, especially with people with that are people pleasers, codependent, and
practice it.
even people who, because I was watching this on the with Jada Pinkett in that
Hmm.
show, even people who are powerful can still lose that self-awareness
Yeah, I mean,
because love is
it's
blind, right? So
totally.
there's a comment from someone. JJ says, I'm in an agreement. I am in agreement with the zero fucks given concept. When people say that, it tells me that they have simply been triggered and have some
Hmm.
deep work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I said, it's a callous term. You know, this is something that I was wondering. I was even asking my son, and it was just like, all right, what's up with all the young kids and just middle fingers everywhere? Why is there middle fingers on everybody's Instagram? Why? What
Is it
is that
more?
culturally? I don't know. I've seen it like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I understand. You know, back in the day, NWA, fuck the police, and all these different movements around being repressed. But I'm like, there's more freedoms now than just about ever. So I don't understand a lot of it. I feel like it's unnecessary aggression. Um, and I don't know what perception they're trying to actually show because I'm like people online that are seeing you are usually your friends. These are the people that are like following you. Who are you actually putting up the middle finger to? Middle finger to the world. And it's like you don't like any of this stuff. You don't enjoy any of what you're experiencing in life. So F it all. And I think people aren't just aware of it. They're just going with trends. And when they get hurt, they just start putting up protection, right? It's just trauma. Most of us are coming from it, and those of us who are powerful enough, this is, my request that we actually show people a way to do it, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to hurt. I mean, I've had many conversations where I've had to cry it out, and been in several relationships where relationship ending and somebody absolutely hating me, but me wanting to actually have one more call to say, hey, look, it however you feel about me, please direct it all towards me. Put that all on me as whatever the experience was that didn't work out for you, whatever. But I don't want this to affect your ability to look at any other future men or anything like that. That's for you. Don't let this take away from that experience, even when hatred's being thrown at me. Because I could see and I could hear within their own psychology, I'm never going to trust again. I'm never going to do all this stuff again. And I'm like, don't give me all that. I was like, just don't like me. It's fine. Just don't like me. Don't interact with me. Don't take all your future joy away
Mm,
and then attach it to
yeah.
me and say, because of him, I can never have fun again with this other person who's done nothing negative to me. I'm like, no, that's all me. Give me the negativity. Fine. Hate me. Totally hate me. I'll take it. Cool. You don't like my interaction. You don't like what I said on that podcast. You don't like, how this whole interaction between us went. Got it. Don't like me. Don't like how I did things. But leave it at that so you can actually be free of that and be free of all that so you can actually have the beautiful experiences that you were hoping for. The end. You don't have to take it with you.
Yeah, I like
Leave it
that.
with that person.
That is very common. Someone hurts you and they say, "Well, I'm never going to like men again. I hate
Mm-hmm.
men because." No, it's very common, and I've heard it, and I said, don't put this on all of the masculine. Like even yesterday, like, yeah, I was pissed off at the stuff that was happening in my DMs, but I wasn't blaming the masculine. Like that's what we immediately go to,
Mm-hmm.
is we like to blame things, like, oh, let's blame it on Mercury in retrograde. No, actually, how can we see what is the lesson here? Right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to go there because that is a programming. That's systemic programming. And something I'm learning about anger as an emotional
Well,
parent.
Mercury can be a son of a bitch, though. I'm not
It
gonna
can, it can.
lie.
It definitely can. That's like another show.
Yeah, yeah.
Sex and Mercury in retrograde. Don't message your exes. That's what I would say.
Oh, Mercury. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just leading from our pain. It's like to allow ourselves to feel the emotions fully in the moment is a beautiful thing. Let it process it. Cry the tears that you need to cry. Disconnect from the people you need to disconnect to, and move in love. Right? Move in love. So these are what our greatest teachers have.
How do you
From
access love when you feel the middle finger or when you feel the hardness?
well, the thing is that has to you really need to move to living an impersonal life, right? So right now, this is about taking things personally. This is one of the things you're looking at it in a DM. Um, Sometimes I can get into personal relationships, and things are personal, and it hurts, and I have to pull back. Sometimes, like, damn it, all right, I took that. I didn't do a good job there. But for the most part, I'm trying to be a living purpose, right? My purpose is to help people connect to their authentic self, heal the man-woman relationship, to spark the golden age of humanity, right? We're on the cusp. We have the technology, men and women, we can start addressing some of these different things. And the people that are like you and the other teachers out there that are doing the work to help people be more fully themselves, right? I teach a program called the Protocols, and in the Phoenix Protocols, it helps people rebirth themselves to their original code. And if you don't have access to that original code and that original love that you are, it doesn't matter if you're trying to get rich, get into a relationship or anything else. If you don't have that internal connection, your life is it's going to be really hard. And situationally, your morals will change, your principles will change, and you can become easily offended because you're not looking at the world as something that you are in. You're looking at the world as something that's happening to you and you're a victim of, instead of from your power as a divine being that you can actually radiate vibration into this world. And everybody is doing that. It's just right now, a lot of the negative messages have stuck and there's not enough positive ones, right? So these different behaviors aren't really being coded into people's psyche. Zero fucks is, that's why it's a term, right?
Mm.
What about infinite love? That's not really a term,
Choose love. I like choose love.
right? So we have to look at, a lot of times there's a great, what would Jesus do? And then it's what would love do? What would
Mm.
love do to this person
Because
in pain?
Jesus is the embodiment of
There you
well,
go,
it's not just love, it's compassion and
right?
forgiveness.
Yeah. So to me, it's
Mm.
developing some of our emotional bodies, right? So compassion is one thing, but if we could also develop compersion, right? To be able to feel both the pleasure of somebody else too, to feel the good when somebody actually comes from an open-hearted part. That to me is one of the biggest things that allows me to be of service to this world, is because if I see somebody struggling or there's a little thing that I can do energetically to be of service and I do that, I immediately get an endorphin kick. I get all these different things because I can feel how they felt to actually receive that, you know? Not in a transactional place, but just in the purity of it. But right now, we're not operating from the purity of who we are. A lot of our where we operate from is from a place of pre-programmed problem, reaction, solution. Let me say my trigger word so you can have a reaction. Somebody whistles at you on the street. Let me get upset and start, tweeting about it. All these different things. We're already pre-programmed, and there are movements telling us how we should act about things.
The
There
Me
are complete
Too,
movements. Yeah,
The Black Lives Matter movement.
there's totally, well, violence I would say is unacceptable, and under any, black lives, blue lives, like, to me most violence is unacceptable. We should be more civilized. That's one of the things. As far as the Me Too movement, I think that's something that I don't really have a lot of clarity on, unfortunately. I've heard a lot of women actually complaining now that they don't feel men can actually even self-express themselves to them desirably in any way, or to be able to give compliments, because now we don't know what is acceptable. We don't know how to actually approach the feminine. So what happens is there's more disconnection to the feminine. So if the movement is going to say these bad things happen to us, this is one thing that I've seen is a big challenge with the feminine, and it's with the throat chakra, is the feminine has been programmed throughout society and time, for the most part, to complain, not to actually speak their desire.
Mm.
And that's one of the things that I do with women in my personal practice and tantra practices is for them to be able to embody and love speaking their desire, right? Because if you take a look at why man has had to do all the things that we did, we were doing it to fulfill your desire. We come home with the kill, like, you want to eat. I know you want to eat. Look it, I got this deer for you. Yeah, like that's what you want. We see a woman admiring something, and then a man's like, ooh, how can I actually give her what she desires? Because for the most part, when we tune into each other and we connect with the feminine receiving pleasure, receiving joy amplifies our feelings. It amplifies our ability to feel joy because it becomes an extension of us. Because when you come from a place of true love, all that you love is an extension of you, right? That's why I can love strangers. It's like, no, they're all my family because my love is extending beyond my body,
Mm.
right? So when I see, somebody who's being loving to someone else, I feel more of me there because I'm trying to align with love itself. I'm not trying to be anything else. It's like, no, if true love is present, that's where I want to be. That's the vibration I want to harmonize with. So the Me Too movement and all these movements, what I would say is it's not to say more of what is wrong, but to give people how they should be doing different things, right? It's kind of like if you give somebody an instruction manual on how to build something, and then you just tell them all the steps not to do. Well, what the hell
There,
are they going to build? It's like, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong, that's wrong. It's like, okay. Well, what is right? What is the right way to approach you? What is the right way to actually communicate my desire to you, woman?
amen. Amen, like the amen fingers.
Yeah. Tell
um,
me what that is.
yeah, I think this
And
is
let me give you your desires. And a lot of women have this that, oh, you would just know if it was right and this and that. Are you kidding me? A man's mind trying to process all of women's desires, even in very intimate situations. I'm damn good for a while, but there's so many things that this other person is having to tune into their own life, and they can bring that focus into you in a very intimate way. This is what I teach in the tantra, to be able to do that, to be able to feel her energy and her desire and be able to move with it. But overall,
I also wanted to say my desire.
yeah,
So my phone is about to go, like the battery
yeah,
is super low. So my desire is like I would love to keep going.
well,
And we're gonna have to cut it short and do
mm, another time.
another Matthias interview.
Another time, my dear. Hopefully there's
Yes.
some good stuff in here though, and it helps people be able to navigate through this life. If people want to find me, it's just
Yes.
Matthias Omatola. So you can find me, matthiasomatola.com. You can just register for my mailing list for my new upcoming book, but also on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not really that active, so just reach out to me more personally. Once my book is out, then I'm going to be much more active and bring this messaging. But if you need me or there's any challenges, I'm here to be of service.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Thank you. That was
yeah, peace and
amazing.
blessings to you all.
And we'll see. I'm gonna see you again, like at least like
Yeah, you'll see me.
a monthly Matthias.
All right, love.
Thank you
Take care.
so much.
Ciao,
Bye.
everyone.